Join Time Magazine's lead education reporter alongside global educators and advocates to explore the impacts of teaching forgiveness.
I teach forgiveness because it can have a positive impact in my students' families.
It helps my students thrive in the face of adversity.
Students who can forgive are happier.
Join us to hear from teachers and thought leaders on how and why to include forgiveness in your classroom.
Temperature rise will bring widespread devastation and unprecedented extreme weather.
New coronavirus cases emerge across the country.
Obesity rates have more than doubled in kids.
Cape Town is running out of water.
SEK Education Group welcomes you. Creating a culture of global citizenship is the title of our presentation. Remember, we are in a live event. We will not be able to hear you. And if you have any question, please type in the question and answer section. And of course, you are free to share with the hashtag WorldEduWeek. You ready? Let's go. Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Carlos Jimenez, and I am the principal of SEK International School Alboran. My hometown is Granada in Andalusia, Spain, and I am in education for 24 years and 21 of them at SEK Educational Group. The last 11 years, I'm the principal of the school, which is a headache and an honor at the same time, depending on the day. I'm sure many of the attendees will understand me perfectly. My hobbies are sports, nature, and reading, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our presentation on how education for global citizenship is transforming the life of our school and our school community. To begin, let me give you a brief introduction to the educational center that which we belong to put the rest of the presentation in context. SEK International School Alboran opened its doors in 1999 as part of the SEK Education institution, which has 6 schools throughout Spain and 4 more in France, Ireland, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, and we also have the Camilo José Cela University in Madrid. SEK International School Alboran is a private school located in El Ejido, approximately 35 minutes from the city center of Almería, a coastal city in Andalusia in the southeast of Spain. Our school was opened in 1999 and it offers education in English and Spanish from nursery to pre-university level, 0 to 18 years old. With over 20 different nationalities, our students also learn an additional language, French or German, from the age of 6. In addition, the school is an exam center for the Alianza Française, Goethe Institute, and we are the only Cambridge English school center in our city. SEK Alboran is part of the International Baccalaureate Ivy World Schools since 2009-2010. And it is a continuing school offering 3 of the programs, PYP for early years and primary, NYP for secondary, and DP for high school students. And nowadays, we are involved in the accreditation process to get the NIASC ACE certification too. As a result of our international mindedness, we organize and participate in numerous language exchange programs, starting from grade 5 to grade 12 with Italy, France, England, United States, and Germany. We have Erasmus Plus projects with different European schools, oratory and international debate contests, STEAM, LEGO, and Minecraft education, between others. Furthermore, our students take part in several United Nations models in a variety of countries and in our own model in Madrid, SECMON, which is an education cultural project authorized by the United Nations as a simulation of the General Assembly and other multilateral agencies. And regarding this field, last year the school was recognized as an ambassador school for European Parliament. To finish this introduction, our institution has been a pioneer in promoting and include the use of the technology in the classroom with our own methodology, Aula Inteligente, for over 40 years, and we just renewed the Microsoft Showcase School Award 2021 as a school that used the technology in an exemplary way in a daily basis. And after this brief introduction, let's move with the main characters of this event, our speakers. The first one is Mr. Sebastian Fuentes. He's the NYP coordinator at the school. He's from Jaén in Andalusia, Spain, and he has been in education during 14 years and 14 years working at SEK schools. He likes sports, music, and traveling, and we share some kind of music, but not the football team because he's a supporter of Real Madrid, You know, nobody's perfect. So the next one is the prettiest member of the team, Miscellanes Rafilova. She's the PYP coordinator at the school. She's from Baku in Azerbaijan. She has 12 years in education, 12 years working at SEK. She started as a professional with us, growing with the school, and the school is growing with her professionality these days. She loves learning languages, traveling, and dancing, and I can admit that she's a very good dancer. And the last one is our multitask guy in the school. He's Mr. Manuel Berbio, the librarian and the CAS coordinator at the school. He's from Granada too, and he's 24 years in education, the last 21 years working at SEK school. He likes reading, biking, and traveling, but I think she preferred to travel by car than in a bike. And as you will have noticed, our speakers are very good and healthy people. And I suspect that there are a lot of students and parents watching this presentation. We talk later. So let's start with the real presentation. Mr. Sebastian, please, all yours.
Thank you, boss. Well, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us. As Luis Carlos has mentioned already, we have been part of the IB family for quite a long time now, and we have made ours their mission statement, which I'm going to read, if you allow me to do so. The International Baccalaureate aims to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. And this is something we take really seriously. And we take it seriously because we think that we have the tools, the power, and the responsibility to make it happen. And that's our objective. In our pursuit of the fulfillment of this mission statement, we added ACE, the ACE learning approach, which seeks to transform schools through the reflection of the whole community, of the whole learning community, focusing on the ecosystems which do have an impact in that learning. Now, apart from these links and connections with these two organizations, there is another element which is crucial in contextualizing the matter at hand, which is creating a culture of global citizenship. And we're talking about the SEK Institution's future learning model, a model which values learning based on the exploration of concepts, based on research and the development of competencies that encourage both critical thinking and creativity, providing students with the strategies they need and that will allow them to become lifelong and self-assured learners in a system that fosters collaboration and autonomy and results in, and this is quite important for us, taking action within the global citizenship and social innovation framework, about which Miscellanes Rafilova, our PYP coordinator, will tell us more.
Thank you, Sebas. Good afternoon. So, starting from this context that Sebastian has just explained, we began to consider the need to develop a global citizenship and social innovation program common to the whole group of SEK schools. Some of the essential or key questions we came up with at that time were, for example, what strategies should we have in place to ensure that global citizenship is an integral part of our future learning model? How can we make global citizenship to be systemic and naturally linked to the learning experiences and the curriculum in our school? And of course, one of the most important questions were, how can we give learners, that is not only students, but also teachers, more agency so that they take initiative in participating and leading global citizenship and social innovation projects? In other words, make sure that the mission and vision of our schools is a clear and evident reality, since we all share the same idea that our students' learning must be motivating, meaningful, and challenging, that will allow them to grow and act as true global citizens responsible for the world around them. From there, we began to carry out a series of key actions in the development of the Global Citizenship Program. Firstly, several representatives from each school attended a workshop led by Professor Fernando Reimers, the renowned Harvard expert in this field. He and his team in Harvard have designed a global citizenship curriculum linked to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that was first implemented in a school in New York. Professor Reimers had been training our teaching teams in Madrid for several years and has been for us one of the key figures in the development of this program. Professor Reimers presented to us his two books, Empowering Students to Improve the World in 60 Lessons, and the other one, Empowering Global Citizens, that give clear examples of how a school can start the Global Citizenship program and include it in its curriculum. That same year, we created working groups and a program leader was appointed at each school. The next step was to create a definition of global citizenship that is aligned with the principles and values of SEK Institution. We also reviewed our written curriculum both horizontally and vertically in order to identify and also expand possible connections with the Sustainable Development Goals. For example, we explicitly link the SDGs with units of inquiry and exhibition in the PYP, personal projects in the MYP, and CAS, that is Creativity, Activity and Service Program in Diploma. Over these past 2 years, we have been implementing numerous learning experiences related to SDGs, taking action and developing global and intercultural skills that allow students to choose, reflect, and act in an informed and responsible way. We have also closely collaborated with the Global Citizenship Program Leader, Manuel, who will now explain the process and the steps we followed in creating the culture of global citizenship at our school and how our whole learning community got involved in the program. Manuel?
Thank you, Elnara. Learning by doing is a methodology that stimulates participation and action. It also encourages the sharing of ideas among students, the discovery of new learning thought, trial and error, and the development of self-evaluation. This methodology is committed to a natural learning process that supports its process in practice from knowledge and skills acquired at theoretical level, which is essential for learning to be meaningful. At school, as my colleague has said before, there were many learning projects and experiences that had been developed since the start of the school. But if we wanted to develop a strong and solid global citizenship program from the action point of view, it was necessary at an organizational level to give it a structure from which we could provide support. On the one hand, we began to identifying what were large projects at school. On the other hand, we created clubs that would allow us to bring together those learning experiences, small projects that were being developed. In a short time, we have already a high number of clubs, which allowed us to create large and small working groups made up of teachers and students. From this moment on, teachers and students began to play a greater role. Each club is made up of an advisor, teachers and supervisors, a program with a calendar of activities, a resource center, and all those students who are interested in a particular learning experience or club. Nowadays, our students can identify more clearly what the school offers. And depending on their motivation or learning needs, every student can choose from a large variety of options. For example, if students want to develop their public speaking skills, they can join the debating club. However, if they are more interested in solidarity project or volunteering, they may join the community and service club, and so on. In order to learn by doing, there is nothing better than having a clear and real goal to provide support, motivation, to seek the improvement and autonomy of students, and to encourage teamwork based on action. We connected our projects to real problems in our society. For this, we have contacted associations and NGOs at local, national, and international level. This has allowed us to develop and organize more learning experiences, both in a school and outside the school. At the beginning, most of the NGOs we worked with were of social or volunteer nature. Currently, we are collaborating with more than 50 NGOs that support all kinds of causes: social, humanitarian, and environmental. It is very important to diversify the projects in the three strands: creativity, activity, and service. At this point, the SEK Alboran School learning community was aware of the dynamics, options, and the existence of the Global Citizenship and Global and Social Innovation program at the school. It was already up and running. And the next step was to encourage greater involvement and initiatives from both students and teachers. At the beginning, only the high school students were involved in the different initiatives, but little by little, more and more students of all ages joined, and the projects and the initiatives were already planned, designed, and developed by students themselves, where our mission now as teachers is to help and guide them. The agency began to change. Initiatives like this have caused a multiplier effect in our school. Students that are more, they propose much more, and the proposal begin to emerge from the curriculum and beyond the curriculum. The vertical programming is starting to work. Now we have connected the Global Citizenship Action Program with the planners of kindergarten, primary, secondary, high school, with the school project, with the Sustainable Development Goals being all completely connected. In addition, 50% of the teaching staff on all the departments take part in at least one Global Citizenship project. This is a lot. There is a lot of interest from everyone to innovate and do something out of the box. The spreading of the program on social media and in the press is crucial for success. In our case, our students publicize their projects or learning experiences on an Instagram channel. We also participate in competition or contests that give us another structural framework to develop the Global Citizenship Program. As a result, more NGOs have contacted us and more enthusiastic students and teachers are getting involved.
El proyecto se llama Dos generaciones distintas compartiendo aprendizaje, en el que realizamos sesiones de estimulación cognitiva de niños de educación infantil 3 de 5 años con abuelitos de la residencia Vallesol.
Para nosotros haber participado en el programa de Escuela Embajadora del Parlamento Europeo ha supuesto valores, instituciones, futuro, democracia, derechos.
Hola, somos Ainhoa y Miguel Ángel y somos los líderes del proyecto Life for Honduras, que consiste en dar clases online a jóvenes hondureños con problemas académicos.
Nuestro proyecto consiste en hacer pinturas murales alrededor de todo el colegio para presentar a los niños más pequeños los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible y que vayan conociendo un poco de qué trata.
Hola, somos Ciela y Sofía y formamos parte de un grupo de 7 chicas llamado Ecobabel, en el que hacíamos y vendíamos nuestro propio jabón para 2 ONGs con las que hemos colaborado.
Una capa mágica es el 6º libro que nace dentro del proyecto solidario que llevamos a cabo en educación infantil, donde padres, alumnos y profesores nos involucramos y recogemos los relatos más bonitos de nuestra vida.
El año pasado organizamos el primer festival de discursos Nicolás Salmerón, donde contamos con más de 150 participantes y con el objetivo de promover la oratoria a nivel nacional.
Estamos preocupados por la cantidad de plástico que se ve en el mundo.
Tenemos que actuar.
Nosotras participamos en un proyecto llamado Tapones para hablar de oídos. Nuestro proyecto consiste en hacer la recogida de tapones para ayudar a diferentes niños con problemas de salud y al mismo tiempo evitar la contaminación el principal causa del cambio climático.
Uno de los proyectos que realizamos en los tiempos de pandemia fue el Story Time, donde contábamos cuentos a los niños más pequeños y de esta manera se entretenía y a la vez aprendían inglés.
El año pasado montamos un mercadillo de libros para fomentar el hábito de lectura en el colegio. ¡Anímate!
Well, what's next? That's the next bit of this presentation, but I can't let it go. I need to admit I'm a little bit jealous of Manuel because he definitely took the fun part of the presentation. You know, the one in which you see all the work done by the kids. That's definitely the best part of it. But what's next? What's coming? What are the next steps in this process that we started a few years ago? Well, it's actually going back to the original idea where we are right now. The idea is to go back to the original idea and from there improve, dig deeper, and continue the path that we started, focusing more and more on developing students' agency. Agency. It's a word we've heard quite a few times today, and maybe it's because of its importance and because it's kind of the leading engine of the process. Agency. Sorry, not the agency. Agency. What do we mean by agency? What we really want for our students is for them to lead the thinking, the designing, and the decision making, besides the doing, of course. We want our students to feel at the center of their own education, having an active role. We want our students to feel that independence that you get when you do something that you have been able to choose, when you are truly involved in what you do because you have made it yours. And this is basically what we don't want for our students. Yeah, exactly. Another step that we're taking more and more seriously is to include more and more of these initiatives within the written curriculum of the school. And that way, it becomes an essential part of our students' daily life through their subjects. One more critical next step that we've taken has to do with the SEK Profile, about which Elnara, our PYP coordinator, who you've already met, will talk about. Elnara, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So in addition to what Sebas has just said, within the context of the Global Citizenship and Social Innovation Scheme, we have developed SEK Profile to support students in the development of 9 overarching competences that include the curricular and extracurricular experiences and support key attributes and learning skills of students. These experiences enable students to develop and enhance knowledge, skills, and more importantly, understandings, values, and perspectives of what it means to be part of the world in which they live and how they can be active agents of change within it. We must say that evidencing this type of learning is not easy. It's quite a challenge to make it visible, both for the student and for the community. So now we are in the process of developing SEK Profile learning continuums to support the collection of evidence for learning and development. This is a collaborative work of students and teachers, where students also have an opportunity to actively participate in the process. One of the objectives of the continuums is to help students to develop the global citizenship and social competences included in the SEK Profile and seek to guide their reflection and self-assessment. Manuel, your turn.
Thanks, Elnara, again. None of the above would have been possible if we were not a passionate learning community with this learning culture. And that's the key. Students must be aware always by developing a global citizenship program, they are contributing to the development of their own personal skills and creating a better world. Therefore, for each project or learning experience, it is necessary that learners reflect individually or in groups on the stage of learning and prove it with evidence. This is something they find sort of difficult. Let's look at a summary of a student portfolio who is now at our high school. We can see that he has participated in many different experiences, has reflected on the competences put on practice, and gathers more than 300 hours of work. Thank you very much. Boss, it's your turn again.
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, Mr. Nara. Thank you, Mr. Sebastian. It's amazing to see the last slide with the document, with the report, with a lot of activities that the students do during their academic life in the school. And it's not only a simple document, because it's more than a way of life, because the students take this way of life out of our walls when they leave the school to go to the university. And it's a perfect example for reflect and encourage and inspire other students when they see that the older students do at the school. So thank you for the presentation, because it's a good evidence of what happened in the school day by day. So let's move with the section of questions and answers. In our chat, there's not many questions and answers, so I put some foods for thought for the people, for the attendees, and I want to ask to the speakers, because they need to work during 1 hour, and we have half an hour remaining. So, Mr. Sebastian,
yes,
I want to ask you about something that probably everyone is happening before start a project. What sort of difficulties do you think that you can encounter in the process in our school or other schools?
Well, maybe one of the first things that crossed my mind was how to explain it in a way that it was meaningful, that it made sense, that it sounded like something that would be good for the students, and at the same time, and I think this is also important, try to organize it at the same time at presenting it in a way that it didn't really sound only as extra work, like there's this new thing that we have to do on top of everything else we're doing. And I think that's why it's important that, I mean, I guess that when you are about to get on board on one of these projects is because your school has already been doing quite a lot of stuff. Like we've all gone through evaluation visits, either if it's IB or NIASC or any other organization. So we've already gone through the process of trying to create and start up some kind of projects and experiences. So the idea, and I gotta thank Chris Charlson, who was really a great support in this project and who helped us not start from the scratch. Like, first of all, start by working on what we had already been working and put some effort into organizing it so that people could see that there was, as I said, that it was nothing new, like out of the blue, but it was more about improving what we were already doing and maybe organizing it and structuring it a little bit more. And again, his role was key, and we believed that it was the right thing to do. And well, we started, and here we are. I mean, everyone always has those who are not true believers at the beginning, but I can say that la résistance in our school has decreased a lot, and there's more and more people on board, seeing the benefits, seeing the kids working, the kids thinking, proposing. So I basically say that all those difficulties will be not easily, but maybe soon enough forgotten.
Thank you, Sebastian. I agree with you. Our support from our General Director, Chris Charlson, was determined to boost the project in the school, because his experience, his advices save a lot of time and problems in our school. But if you are thinking in replicate this this project in your school. I encourage you to do that because the results are fantastic. Later, after this section of question and answer with the summary, we give some tips to face and struggle with these situations. So let's move to other questions. This question is to Elnara, because it's related with well, a problem that you can find in the school with the younger students and the teacher of younger students, because most of the projects are for older students and infant school or kindergarten are far from them. So in what aspects do you think global citizenship education can transforming the life in the school, especially nurturing from the younger students?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Carlos. That's definitely my field. Well, yes, of course, you're right when you say that probably these types of projects are at the beginning can be considered mostly for older students. This was our case too, because at the beginning, all those projects were planned for and carried out by older students. So it was really difficult to push our younger ones to the action. So what we, after the workshop with Fernando Reimers and several meetings in Madrid where different program leaders got together and shared their thoughts, we understood that what we had to do actually is not to focus or not to get obsessed with the projects themselves, but rather consider in which way we can push we can help our students, our little ones, to develop intercultural and global skills. These skills are really important if we want them in the future to be able to be critical, creative thinkers, and to be able to take that initiative and to start that action that we want them to. What we have in our mind. So, for example, tolerance, respect, multiculturalism, all these aspects, all these attitudes, all those skills should be definitely worked on from the very beginning. Like if we talk about the SDG 5, for example, the gender equality, how can we work on this sustainable development goal with a 4-year-old? Basically, they have to start from themselves, like considering who am I, my identity, to see what similarities, what differences we have between myself and others, and how I can be tolerant and how I can be respectful towards those differences, and how I can be committed to respect this, and how I can do something about this, like differences between boys and girls, or sharing different tasks in a class or at home. So this is what we have to do, and this is our advice to early years teachers mostly. Do not get obsessed with those projects. Just start from scratch. Like those skills, those attitudes are like the seed, the basis for all this. What we are now, let's say, the evidence that we're gathering now, or the result that we get from our students now, is that what they see as example from older students, they try to replicate it, they try to imitate them. So that culture has already been created. So now is when we are when we actually see those results, even in the little ones. The other day, they knocked on my door, my office, and they said, "I remember that last year our older peers presented to us their Storytime project. They created stories and they shared them with us, and we enjoyed it that much. Could we do something like this year, now that we are a year older?" And of course, this is the initiative. This is what we are expecting them to do. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what about the teachers? Because the effect is contagious between the students, but what about the teachers?
Yes, absolutely. The teachers are also active agents of their own learning. In our school, we consider, and we already said it, that not only students, but also teachers need to develop that agency. They have to have their choice, voice, and ownership in their learning. We are considered a learning community. So when we talk about teachers, it's also, we need to provide them that support. We need to guide them at the beginning and show them that there is a goal for them too, because when they carry out those projects, they also are taking initiative when they support their students. So what, as IB coordinators, our role is to support them in this, and we really try them to put themselves in their students' shoes and to see themselves as learners too. Thanks for collaborative planning. Thanks to collaborative planning sessions that we have on Fridays that was established from the Director General team a few years ago. And thanks to professional learning opportunities that we have during those Friday afternoons, our teachers can actually feel themselves as learners.
Yes, the structure of the school is crucial as well. Next one, the time is a problem for any school in the world. If you ask for something that missing in a school always is time. So the question is, did it take long to see the first results, Mr. Sebastian?
Well, I think I kind of partly answered that question before. Since we didn't start from zero, like we had already been working in a certain way, following certain principles, following that fulfillment of the mission statement of the institution, the IB, now with NIASC, we had a lot. So it was more about structuring everything, and it was more about getting that idea of sharing, which I would say together with agency, I would consider it like the second biggest term in this story we're telling. It's agency, and at the same time it's sharing, so everyone knows what the others are doing. So once we, gathered all those experiences, projects, bigger projects, smaller projects that we're doing, and we shared them with the rest, and we gave them ideas about how to structure, organize it, and give some more responsibility to the students, which at the beginning sounds like crazy, but if you've been working with them in a certain way for a certain period of time, they're not only ready, they need it. I mean, it's like the next step. They need that responsibility. You can just raise them, telling them that they have to be responsible without giving them responsibility. So once you get that in the move, then it's not that difficult to see the results. I'm not saying it easy. I just said it's not that difficult. And it doesn't take that long, okay? But that sharing bit that we haven't maybe commented yet is really important, because once we establish those 2-3 sessions a year, again, recommended by Chris, and we try to follow, we started a little bit last year, it helps people to get idea, because when you share all those activities and projects, and you don't do it just in a way in which you want to you're proud of what you've done, but you don't focus on this activity I did for maths or for German or for English, but you dig a little bit deeper and you show people what your real objective was and the skills you wanted to develop. Then it's when you connect with your workmates. That's when the rest of the staff gets the ideas and wants to do something similar and wants to try, even if they don't agree. It's kind of challenging. It's like, could I make this work? And as I said, that sharing and that giving out responsibility or agency, the way we're calling it, is what make results appear, I would say, sooner than we expected. But that's also something that happens a lot to me, I guess, to all of us, that things end up going well sooner than expected, and sometimes we cannot even explain it. But I don't know, when you create that atmosphere, everything seems a little bit easier. Again, not easy. There's a lot of work behind these. And you mentioned the word time. We could talk about time forever, but we have no time.
Thank you, Sebastian. You're right. Last question. I think we have some minutes to answer the last question, because when you start a project, you want to get final goal. What is the final goal of this project? More than project, this way of learning. Nara, Sebastian, I leave in the air.
for me, I don't know if Nara was going to say something. I'm pretty sure she has a million ideas. For me personally, it's finding the right combination between the development, the growth of that agency in both teachers and students in a way that it doesn't grow separately, but kind of hand in hand, like both teachers and students and all members of the staff. We feel that that's growing, and that most of these initiatives don't come from, I mean, we will always get some institution projects without which we won't probably be here, but it has to come from ourselves. Those ideas have to come from inside every teacher and student, and they also have to come from what you see in the person next to you and what you feel that person is doing, and that what that person is doing is right, and the needs that you're surrounded by. And that would be the ultimate goal, to enter the school one day and think they might not need me anymore. They just know what to do. They know why they want to do it, and they're just doing it. And I mean, I think we're on the way. Hopefully not to the point in which they will not need us, but at least as orchestra conductors, we will be there to guide them and help them, as Manuel said before.
Yeah, I would also like to add, yeah, what Sebas is saying is absolutely, I absolutely agree with him. Our ultimate goal is to have all those pieces of puzzle together, making one big puzzle piece, and of course to manage that everyone sees it all as all those elements connected, all those elements coming out naturally in a systemic and natural way out of the curriculum, and as initiatives, as we said, from our students and teachers. And this is our ultimate goal, obviously. And also, well, we are on our way there, but it needs, of course, it needs improvement. And I would also like to add that another objective would be, maybe a short-term objective, is to have all our learning community members get involved, like families, even our students who are no longer at school, who have finished their schooling, to have them. It's already now plans to have those, like, get involved actually with all those, with all that program, Global Citizenship and Social Innovation Program, and add, it will be definitely an incredible value to our school life and to our now growth and development if different members from our school community got actively involved in this program.
Okay, thank you. Let's go with the summary of the session with the 5 steps that we need to show to the attendance, just in case someone want to replicate our model. This is not a magic formula, it's our recommendations, and they are based in the recommendations of our General Director, Chris Charlson, when we started 3 years ago. The first step is laying the foundations. You need to spread the knowledge of what global citizenship education is and create a core of people who deepen and share the vision with the team through workshops, conference, books, news, and experts. This group must lead the initiative with communication and promotion of specific actions to students, classmates, and the school community. Here, I want to emphasize, because if the school community is well informed from the beginning to understand the importance and benefits of this way of learning, its contribution will be much greater when it comes to helping and supporting many of the projects that will appear and that have an impact outside of the school. Second step, let them grow. Nurturing from the core of people who lead the movement in the school, it must span through the different stages and adapt it to all ages. Almost all initiatives will be timely and should be promoted to progressively increase their appearance, sometimes at unexpected ages and stages. In the beginning, it may be that there are not connections between the projects, but they all have an origin and an intention that will allow them to be redirected and give them more relevance and meaning for the students and the community. Its effects will be contagious and more students and teachers will show interest and curiosity to start with something that can suppose a new project to get a different learning impact. The third step, collaborative planning sessions and link with the curriculum. Find or create planning time for staff to meet and reflect on the learning impact of actions is necessary and crucial. This period of joint planning will allow tidying, organizing, and preparing the actions and link them to the curricular content, and they can be made visible to the entire community by relating them to the Sustainable Development Goals. Exporting the impact of learning outside the walls of the classroom and school will increase awareness and understanding of all that global citizen education entails. This is a key point because you will get engaged and motivated students and teachers to work in other aspects of the school, sometimes less attractive. The fourth step, an indispensable figure, the CAS coordinator. You need to have a person who brings together and collects all the initiatives to get a multiplying effect of the activities and will also be who supervises and coordinates the actions to comply with the necessary requirements for framing them within the vision and planning carried out in the sessions of the previous section. The role of the CAS coordinator is that of facilitator and corrector to guarantee that the activities are suitable and achievable. And let me give you a piece of advice. You need to take into consideration about this person must be very versatile because he will work with very different activity levels and ages. He is an important part of the future success of the project. And the last step, the student agency and teachers agency. Global citizenship education increases the agency of the students and, of course, that of the teacher. The school and the CAS coordinator must be prepared to understand this trend, encourage it, and support it. At the end of the process, the students' agency translates into self-directed learning that increases their motivation and commitment to themselves, to their school, and to the world, becoming the main protagonist of their own academic evolution and their contribution as a future global citizens. So this is, this was our presentation. That's all, folks. So I want to say thank you to our speakers, Mr. Sebastian, Ms. Elnara, Mr. Manuel Berbio. If you want to ask some question, feel free to write or to send an email to the address below their names. And I want to say thank you to the World Education Week organization, to Omer, to Vikas, to Kristen and Daniel. And of course, we cannot forget our technical producers, the crazy team that have made possible this event, Mr. Francisco Tejera and Ismael Jimenez. And they are a very important part of the team, and they are a very important part of the school. So we want to finish with maybe a well-known sentence that says that we don't want to get the best students of the world. We work to help them to be the best citizens for the world. We have a very, very good responsibility in our job every day, and we need to learn side by side with them, because some food for thought, and I hope that it can be understandable. The world is the world in their hands, or is it more than ever in ours? Our responsibility make them better students, better citizens to face the next challenges that they can find in the future world. So thank you very much for your attendance. I hope that you enjoy with our presentation, and I wish that you enjoy with the rest of the World Education Week. Thank you and goodbye.
Join Time Magazine's lead education reporter alongside global educators and advocates to explore the impacts of teaching forgiveness.
I teach forgiveness because it can have a positive impact in my students' families.
It helps
my students thrive in the face of adversity.
Students who can forgive are happier.
Join us to hear from teachers and thought leaders on how and why to include forgiveness in your classroom.
Temperature rise will bring widespread devastation and unprecedented extreme weather.
New coronavirus cases emerge across the country.
Obesity rates have more than doubled in kids.
Cape Town is running out of water.